Welcome in. Belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I am your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you, who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 135, Week 14 Rewind, and it is my great pleasure to welcome into the bar Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B. How are you doing today, Bernie?
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
Just riding the wave of perpetual disappointment.
Oh, no. Bad Bernie, no. All right. Sorry. I'm getting the sad puppies are too early. I got the newspaper rolled up, ready to smack you on the nose.
Oh, yeah. Sad puppy.
All right, guys. In this show, we will take a look at some player news. We'll also recap week number 14 of the Wingman Fantasy Football League. We'll check in on the updated standings, take a look at that demolished Goosometer, strap in for a Mike Rant, and we're going to take a glance at some waiver wire targets to help you get your playoff rosters right. We'll also evaluate our starts of the week from the previous week, and unfortunately, we have two more sad puppies. But before we get into any of that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingman Assemble! All right, now that everyone is here, man, the theme for week 14 was everybody, in terms of their fantasy teams, outperformed projections, except for one. And who would get a win for some of the money? And the playoffs started early, a week early for two of our managers, as it was win or go home. All right, let's see here. Let's get into some player news. Starting off, this one hurts to hear it here. Jonathan Brooks, running back for the Carolina Panthers. Unfortunately, he tore his right ACL. That is the same knee that he injured last year in college. So this is the second time he's tore that ACL in about a year's time. He has been placed on the IR and will require a second surgery. Isaac Guerrero has not practiced yet and is listed as questionable for the Thursday night game against the Rams. Let's just stop here with these running backs. Jonathan Brooks, tough break for this guy. Finally gets on the field, finally starts to get some work, and re-injures that same knee. Such bad luck.
Yeah, that's a tough one for Jonathan Brooks. More than likely, he's going to start the 25 season on injured reserve. He's only 21, so it's a significant setback, but it's not the end of the world as long as the recovery and the rehab go well. But just listen to this. He appeared in 3 games, right? 9 carries for 22 yards, 3 receptions for 23 yards on 3 targets. So, the potential is clearly there for the smallest sample size ever, but tough sledding there.
I guess it's good that the Panthers signed that extension with Chuba Hubbard because he's going to be the bell cow for that team once again.
Yeah, they're looking like that was the best deal that they made all year. And then Guerrero, did you say anything about Guerrero yet?
I just said that he's listed as questionable for the Thursday night game. What else you got on Guerrero here?
Nothing. Just a reminder for the available backs. If Guerrero can't play Thursday, it's Patrick Taylor, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Israel Abakanda. I'm going to get that. Don't worry. So yeah, that's pretty much it. 15 carries and 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, another guy that you're just looking at 2 receptions for 50 yards. Your stats are there. You just got to get on the field and stay on the field.
I wonder if we should just do Israel can't stand ya.
Anaconda. My anaconda don't want none. There you go. You play some Sir Mix-a-Lot for that.
Yep. Actually, I wanted to, but one of the shows I listen to already has that. Whenever they say his name, they go, whoosh.
We could go back to Office Space and it'd be Abba, not going to work here anymore.
There you go. All right, now we have a quarterback here, Aiden O'Connell, who they were thinking that I might have a severe severe knee injury, potentially so anyway. It turns out that he has been diagnosed with a bone bruise, and he may try and play through the injury. But in all eventuality here, Desmond Ridder is probably going to get the start this week against the Falcons. We're light on news, so let's start here real quick. Did you happen to see Aiden O'Connell when he went down for his injury?
I didn't see him go down. I saw after, obviously, when he was on the field, the air cast and everything, but I didn't see the actual play. You know what? I take that. I didn't see it live. I saw the replay, and it didn't look severe to me. It looked like he just hit the ground. So I don't know if I missed what had happened, but it just looked like it was a push after the fact,
right?
Which sucks.
I was watching the game. He was kind of scrambling away towards the sideline, and in real time, it looked like the guy hit him right as he let go of the ball, or pretty close. In slow motion, it looked like a good 2 steps after he let go of the ball.
Yeah,
but he just got a straight shove in the back, and the guy just did a Daniel Jones fall on his face. Yeah, like when he runs real fast. There was no buckling, no twisting. He just fell on his face as he got pushed in the back.
Yeah, apparently there's and I haven't seen any, but there's the internet has been tearing him up because it was a air cast for a bone bruise, but clearly they didn't know at the time and taking all precautions. So give the kid a break. Yeah.
So anyway, it's not. I mean, bone bruises they're not awesome, obviously, but it's not a serious injury, which is the most important thing. Good for him, but he wants to play because he has no guarantee to have any playing time in his future as a quarterback in the NFL. So he's going to try and gut it out, but the odds are Desmond Ridder is going to get on the field this week.
Yeah, I believe it's a Monday night game, so it's an extra day, so maybe. But yeah, Desmond
is that game Monday night?
I think it might be.
I didn't get that far along yet. Okay,
I can check that real quick here. What it was next week? It is not Monday night. I'm so sorry. It happened on Monday night. Did it happen on Monday night?
Nope, that was a day game.
No,
I don't know.
No, it is. Sorry, it is Monday night. It's Atlanta at Las Vegas Monday night.
That's the Monday night game?
Yep.
Oh, wow. So I'm going to have Bijan Robinson in my lineup for the playoffs on Monday night. Oh, I'm going to be sweating all day. Okay. All right. All right. Sticking with the Raiders here, Zamir White was placed on the IR with a quad injury. He's missed the last at least 2 games, maybe 3, as his battery mate, Alexander Madison. So Sincere McCormick's getting all the work right now, and that's one less running back to get back on the field to take that work away. So we're not sure what Alexander Madison's going to do, but I'm thinking Sincere McCormick's going to take this the rest of the way until there's an injury or something else.
Yeah, more than likely. Madison, it's an ankle for Madison, so it looks like Sincere McCormick. But again, White, he had already missed previous 3 games for that quad injury. He's just can't get a whole season in. He might be a guy to circle for next year, though. He's going to be back stronger than ever.
All right. Derek Carr, the former Raider, but now, of course, plays for the Saints, is as of yet not being placed on IR, as he deals with multiple fractures in his non-throwing hand. He says he wants to play. That's just not going to happen, but we'll see. It looks like they still haven't announced who's going to replace him in Hainer or Rattler, so we're going to keep an eye on that. But nonetheless, the defense is up against New Orleans, while Derek Carr is out, are going to be some pretty coveted defenses, especially in the fantasy playoffs. George Pickens is already listed as doubtful for Week 15's matchup against the Eagles. If you recall, he warmed up on Sunday to see if he could go, and it turned out he was not able to go. So, and then they, I guess, either tested his hamstring again. And it seems to be a pretty severe hamstring injury. Nothing that's going to keep him out on the IR or anything, but being that he was close to playing last week and now already listed as doubtful for Week 15 means that injury is either worse than they thought, or maybe he even aggravated it during the pregame warm-up. What do you have here on Derek Carr and George Pickens?
Yeah, so Derek Carr, like you said, that's very doubtful he's going to get back to play, even though it's his non-throwing hand. He's still got to take, snaps and stuff. There's a lot that needs to happen there with that other hand. But he also has a concussion protocol he has to get through. So I think they're going to lean towards Hainer. I just don't think Rattler really showed them anything for him to get the start. So, and then Pickens, the timing, I don't know. This timing is really interesting. It looks like they're going to take the conservative approach, which means that they like the kid and they rather prioritize his long-term availability as opposed to rushing him back too soon. So Mike Williams and Scotty Miller, look for them to get their uptick in passes.
And with the Steelers continuing to win, they've got at least a 2-game lead right now over the Ravens. They haven't clinched anything by any means, but it gives them a little bit of breathing room to maybe take a little time with these types of injuries.
Exactly.
All right, moving along to some quarterbacks who have been up and down, mostly down with one of these guys, but they're going to be the starters going forward, at least by the coaches speak here. Jameis Winston will continue to be the starter for the Browns. I don't know who else they would turn to. And Kirk Cousins, he's had a rough month, man. 8 interceptions, 0 touchdowns over the last 4 games. There's been a little murmuring calling for Penix, but the team has come out and said Kirk Cousins is our man, and he will remain the starter for the Falcons. What do you have on these 2 quarterbacks who are different shades of struggling, but are still going to be behind center?
Yeah, I wouldn't call Jameis, famous Jameis here, struggling per se. It is who he is. He just has to deal with it. He's asking for some help from his savior. But that's okay. Dorian Thompson Robinson, DTR, is the backup there. So DTR isn't horrible. So if Jameis does need to sit, it's fine, but I think he'll be okay. Recent performance for Jameis, though. We all know that this 24-41 pass completions, that's 58%, 212 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So that was a kind of an off game, and those are still decent stats for an off game. Yeah. And then Cousins, the Falcons are all in on Cousins. It's the outside that's talking about Penix. Morris is all in. He's not. He likes Cousins. He's okay. 0 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, though. That's a big deal. You're not starting Kyle Pitts, but Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Bijan will be okay because he can rush. But McLeod, like these guys, nobody's starting McLeod, so it's really Penix, or it's really Mooney and London that are really going to take the hit here. All
right. We have one more player here. One of Bernie's players ended up kind of letting him start off so hot this year. He was one of the best running backs through week 3 or 4. And with injuries and other just slowing down, Kenneth Walker will undergo further tests on his calf injury that kept him out of last week's game. They're going to try and determine the severity of this injury. However, in better news, his ankle injury seems to have all healed up, but now he's dealing with his calf injury. We're not sure of his status going forward. Excuse me. Not sure of his status for week 15 as of yet. And we all saw Charbonnet cook on week 14. Is that a blip? Is that an anomaly? He tends to have these blow-up games, and the more you give him the ball, the more he reminds you that he's not a full-time player. But he's still a young player, so maybe Charbonnet is just a late bloomer here. What do you have on Kenneth Walker and this calf injury?
Yeah, so on a personal note, Kenneth Walker has made me reevaluate how I will draft for next year. I will definitely take into account outside factors, dealing with the team itself and the coaches and the play calling and all that stuff more into consideration and weight them heavier. It's because it's just a disappointment. Charbonnet, I don't think he's going to be that great going forward. It's a good game. He's a good player, but the offensive line is just not that good. So I'm surprised he did as good as he did behind that line.
All right, guys. It is now time to take a look back as we look at our week 14 rewind.
Let's go back. Week 14 rewind.
All right, guys, starting off with the battle between the hosts here. Amazin Spidey was up against Bernie's Team B.
Oh, Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
And I have to... All right, so Michael's Amazin Spidey came into this one at 8-5 atop the Snap Pop division, and he was up against Bernie's Team B, who needed a lot of help, including a win to try to keep his playoff hopes alive. Unfortunately for Team B, Amazin Spidey took this one down 108.74 to 86.96. This was the biggest blowout of the week at just over 21 points.
You got knocked the fuck out, man!
And unfortunately for Bernie's Team B, 86.96 is pretty respectable, but there were a lot of big scores this week. So unfortunately for Team B, he had the lowest score of the week. All right, let's see what players helped Amazin Spidey get to this victory and clinch the Pop division for a payday. Starting off with Thursday night's player of Josh Jacobs at 24.6 points. He is chugging along. He's become a stud. Not only is he on that train, but so is Tua Tagovailoa at 23.54 points. I made a last-minute switch there on Sunday morning, maybe Saturday night, despite Bernie's heebie-jeebie hex movie trying, and it worked out as Tagovailoa for the fourth straight week was a top performer. Now also the great Bijan.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
Added 19.1 points to Amazin Spidey's lineup, and he is heating up.
He's heating up!
Amazin Spidey had no duds this week, and he did have one strong player on his bench, but it wasn't better than his starter. Kyler Murray, in garbage time, got 21.96 points. Amazin Spidey made it through the week without any new injuries other than Breece Hall, who missed the game. I forget what his injury actually, a knee injury, but no new injuries heading into the playoffs. That's good. Let's hope that Breece Hall can heal up. Now for Bernie's Team B, a tough end to the season here, but he had a decent day again, and he was actually overall one of our highest scoring teams. He's the highest scoring team not to make the playoffs, I believe. I didn't double check that. I think Reggie might have passed you by a couple points, but it's close. So Team B had Darnell Mooney had 17.2 points. I don't know how he got that with Kirk Cousins playing so poorly, but he did. And then Tyrone Tracy at 16.8 points.
He's heating up.
As for his studs, his number 2 pick, second round pick, AJ Brown at 6.3 points. There was no one on his bench who really could have helped, and he too made it through the week without any major injuries. All right, Bernie, this is I'm rooting for myself more than you, but I'm also rooting for you. What do you have on this particular game here? And I'm missing out on the playoff berth.
Yeah, so it was the 142 receiving yards to help Darnell Mooney there. It's tough, man. It's tough when Tyrone Tracy is the highest scoring running back, and Darnell Mooney is the highest scoring wide receiver on your team. That's a RB2 or 3 and a wide receiver 2. You know, it's if those guys are your top scorers, you're not going to win anything. So,
and those are both free agent pickups you had. None of those are your guys you drafted.
Exactly. AJ Brown's complaining on the sidelines that Philadelphia just doesn't have a passing game going, and he's not wrong, and it might come back to bite them, because if somebody tries to shut down Barkley in the playoffs, if that timing is not there because they haven't been doing anything, they're going to be stuck. But on your side, great job, Mike. Great job putting 2 in. Great job. Your running back showed up, and your wide receivers didn't need to. So Calvin Ridley and Mike Evans, they took a day off today.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. On to our next game here. Battle of two teams who have struggled all year long, but actually been playing pretty well the last few weeks, even though the record doesn't show it. Reggie's line has been scoring a ton of points and still losing. It's been very unfair, but he came into this one at 4-9 up against Katie's King George, who came into at this one at 5-8. And Reggie's line finally got the win with his high score, 113.72 to 105.08 for King George. They both finished the season at 5-9. Let's see what players helped Line-Eyes get this monster score. Starting off with Jordan Addison, oh my goodness, at 35.3 points. Jackson Smith and Jigba at 17.1, and Jahmyr Gibbs at 16.3. There was no one in his starting lineup that had a dud for Line-Eyes, but he had a bunch of players on his bench who too had strong games. He could have played almost anybody and had a good game this week, as Rachaad White filled in nicely for Bucky Irving, who left the game early at 23.9 points. Garrett Wilson, the Beach Boy, had 14.9 points, and Brian Robinson Jr. had 12.6 points.
He's heating up!
Reggie's Line-Eyes made it through the week without any major injuries. Now for Katie's King George. She put in, I didn't realize she put him in at first, Sam Darnold at 34.58 points. And this guy is on a train, man. Sam Darnold is one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy football. Who would have thunk it? Rome Odunze, I didn't know she had him in her lineup as well. Rome Odunze came through at 18.9 points. David Montgomery keeps chugging along at 16.9. And Jerry, the Judge Judy, also riding that train at 14.9 points. Her only dud was one of her best players who got a few carries and then left the game with an aggravation to his back/hip injury. Bucky Irving only had 2.3 points. There was no one on her bench who could have helped, and the only injury she had was Bucky Irving. We don't think it's serious, but he is banged up, and we'll see if he plays this week or not. What do you have on this game between two teams that their records don't show how good their team really is? King George has been dealing with injuries all year long, but Sam Darnold has been a godsend as she picked him up earlier in the year.
Yeah, this is a good game for both sides. They both had a ton of Baltimore and Washington players on their bench due to bye weeks. Lamar Jackson didn't play for Lionized, and Russell Wilson eked a bye with 16 points, which helped out. But the big loss over on the other side was Bucky Irving for King George. If he didn't go out early, then this would have been a much closer game because he had 2.3 points and he definitely would have had at least a 13, I think, in this game because Rachaad White's final score was pretty high.
Yeah. All right, this next game was a huge matchup here at top of the Snap division here. We had Corey's Mac Daddy 2s who came in at 8-5 up against Paul's Cubert Rage who came in at 9-4. So Mac Daddy 2s was one game back, but he had the tiebreaker. So if he could get this win and just get to a tie for the end of the regular season standings, he was going to take the division. Not only would they win the division, the winner of this game was all but guaranteed the number 1 seed. Mac Daddy 2s had one small chance to not get it if he would have been outscored by 80 points from another player out there. So essentially the winner of this game definitely won the division. The winner of this game was definitely going to win the number 1 seed and get a first round playoff bye, while the loser would fall around 4th, depending on who it was. So Corey's Mac Daddy 2s was able to take this one 109.6 to 97.98. So both these guys finished at 9-5. Like I said, with the tiebreaker, Mac Daddy 2s is the number 1 seed. Let's see what players helped Mac Daddy 2s take this one down. Starting off with his high-priced waiver wire acquisition of Isaac Guerendo at 25.8 points. That is the best $94 in Fab ever spent. It bought him the victory. He had 25.8 points. Also on his starting lineup, Kyren Williams.
Release the Kraken.
Had 22.7 points.
He's on fire.
And Chase Brown had 21.3 points. Can you believe this? Chase Brown is chugging along ever since Zach Moss went down with that injury. He's pretty much scored 18 points or more in every game. It's about 5 or 6 games in a row now. He did have a dud, however, on Mac Daddy 2's team. The Arizona defense got 0 points. And he did have one strong player on his bench, but wasn't better than any of the running backs he could choose to play over him. Aaron Jones had 15.4 points. That was his 4th best running back on his team at 15.4. We could only be so lucky. And Mac Daddy 2's made it through the week with a new injury here. As Isaac Guerendo is dealing with a foot injury. We're not sure if he's going to play this week or not, but he earned a bye, so he doesn't really care. He doesn't need him to play this week. He just needed him to help him get that victory and the first round bye. As for Paul's Cubert Rage team, he had a lot of strong players as well. Justin Jefferson, he is coming back in strong performance here with 28.7 points.
He's heating up.
Jameis Winston, modest day, but being that he is a free agent pickup along the way, 19.28 points will do it to be a strong player.
He's heating up.
Khalil Shakir, I drafted this guy, dropped him. He's been pretty good all season long at 19.1 points. And Cooper Kupp, took a little bit of a slow start. Puka Nacua was dominating, but he finished off with a good enough day. Did Kupp at 17.7 points. Paul's Cubert Rage probably would have had a better outcome if he didn't have these duds. He had 2 duds in his starting lineup. James Cook at 3.9 points and T. Higgins on Monday night at 3.3. There was one strong player on his bench at Jalen Waddle at 16.4 points. What do you have on this game? This was a game to play for the money, for the respect, and for a first round playoff bye.
Yeah. So great job for Mac Daddy 2 playing, accumulating, drafting. He did a great job with his players, except for Arizona. I don't know why he's got Arizona's defense on there, but moving on. Cubert's Rage lost this game. Not because he has Jalen Waddle on his bench. If Jalen Waddle was in his lineup instead of T. Higgins, he would have won. But I've been saying this all year that Jalen Waddle is a must start every single week. I wouldn't even think about putting him on the bench, let alone dropping him or anything like that. Must start Jalen Waddle. But the person that let Hubert's Rage down is his number one favorite player of all time, and that is Josh Allen. Josh Allen poached 3 rushing touchdowns from James Cook, and I know Hubert Rage is happy that Josh Allen is getting those touchdowns because he's a fan, but boy, did he lose this game because of Josh Allen.
Wow, that's a fair assessment there. Josh Allen turned into the Jalen Hurts, the stealing running back touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
All right, on to our next game here. We have Alex's Day Took Our Jobs. He came into the week as our point leader and at 7-6, but it was no guarantee he was going to hold on to that rank there, as he was only up by about 40 points from the 2 players we just mentioned. But he came into this one up against the Fantastics, one of our struggling teams here, who came in this week at 3-10, and They Took Our Jobs, took care of business, winning this one 118.38 to 97.92. With this win, Alex They Took Our Jobs clinches a playoff spot, which he pretty much had anyway because of his points, but it gets him out of that 6 seed, puts him in the 5 seed, and with a strong day, it keeps him as the point leader. So he has earned a payout, even though he didn't win the division. He won the overall point leader for the regular season. Congratulations to you, Alex. You got yourself a payout. Let's see what players helped him take this one down. Starting with the player you just mentioned, Josh Allen. All right, let's just take a second here. 51.88 points. He's not only on the train, he is the train. He's the whole circuit, man. He is Amtrak proper. This guy is a huge man and takes huge points. He also had James Conner at 20.2 points. Adam Thielen at 14.7 points.
He's heating up.
And Saquon Barkley with a modest day at 14.4 points, but that's good enough to keep that train rolling as he is chugging along. You would think with 51 points from his quarterback, 118, you think he'd get more than 118, but there was other players on his team that let him down to average out that score there. Jaden Reed in the starting lineup at 0.0 points. There was no one on Alex's They Took Our Jobs bench who could have improved his outcome here, and he made it through the week without any major injuries. Now for Ken's the Fantastics. He actually had a pretty decent chance in this game until Josh Allen went nuclear in the second half of the 4 o'clock game. He had a decent score as he played with only 7 players this week. He had Jared Goff, Jared Goof, Jared Garf, Jared MVP had 24.02 points, and Tyreek Hill had 23.1 points.
He's heating up.
Devon the Man Achan at 15.9 points. He's chugging along as he always is in that 16 to 18 point range. Tony Pollard, he got some work, although Will Levis tried to just throw incomplete passes the entire second half, but he finished with 13.4 points. And the San Francisco defense rebounded from their week 13 goose to get 12 points. But there were a couple duds on the roster for the Fantastics. In his starting lineup, he finally put in Keenan Allen, and he only got 4.5 points. And I don't know if he was disinterested or just didn't get the news, but Ladd McConkey ended up being inactive for the Sunday night game, and that meant he got 0 points. There was no one on his bench who really had a great day, although anyone on his bench could have outperformed McConkey here, but he did make it through the week without any major injuries. What do you have on this game between our point leader and our last place team?
I don't even know what to say about this. I like both of these human beings. Fantastics. You played the right lineup outside of McConkey. They took our jobs. You did a great job as usual with the points. The only thing I have to say about this is that the Fantastics had Jared Goff. They took our jobs, had Josh Allen. The Fantastics has a better quarterback. I don't care what the points say. Jared Goff is the MVP. Josh Allen is not an MVP. even though
Wow.
everybody thinks he should be an MVP and he's not talked about as an MVP, but now he is because of this great game with 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. You know what? He's not the MVP. Jared Goff is.
If I'm not mistaken, you can double check me whenever you get a chance. I believe the Bills play the Lions this week, right?
Yeah, they sure do.
All right, we're gonna find out the MVP this week.
Exactly.
Because every week it changes. Whoever had the best week is like, now that's the MVP. No one has.
That's the thing. It doesn't change. Jared Goff's the MVP. He doesn't have. He can throw, 109 yards. And Montgomery and Gibbs could take care of that game. He could have 24 fantasy points. He could have 9 fantasy points. He is the MVP. Everything runs through Jared Goff.
All right, I like it. All right, on to our next game here. We have Andrew's Crazy Fish coming in at 8-5, needing a win here to hold on to the division of the Crackle division, as he didn't have tiebreakers with the 2 teams chasing him from behind there. Up against Nick's Waddle away. This was a bonanza of bonanzas. Andrew's Crazy Fish won this one 138.66 to Nick's Waddle away, who had 127.2. Crazy Fish was the highest score of the week, and I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure Waddle was the highest scoring loser of the entire season.
It's all there, black and white, clear as crystal. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Sorry, Waddle away. Sometimes life is not fair, and he ended the season on a 3-game losing streak.
You're as cold as ice.
All right, let's see what players helped get to these monster scores for both teams. Andrew's Crazy Fish started the week off. He had no one he was going to play in his running backs, and by Saturday, he had a boatload of running back options as he put Zach Charbonnet with the late news that Kenneth Walker was a scratch. He had 34.8 points in his starting lineup. That was the play right there. Joe Burrow on Monday night had 26.76 points. And Burrow is awesome, dude. He might be MVP. Let's see. Jawan Jennings, we love this guy, especially when it's not snowing and Brock Purdy doesn't have a broken shoulder. 24.5 points. I wish I would have bid a little more on that when that was out there. Chuba Hubbard, he made a big play here. He asked me if he should put Hubbard in or Harrison. I told him Harrison, and if he would have listened to me, he would have lost this week, and I would have been the 2 seed. I tried to sabotage. If he didn't fall for it, he went on his own gut, and he was right. Chuba Hubbard at 18.7 points. And this once streaming kicker is now a mainstay. Jake Bates had 11 points, and he is heating up.
He's heating up.
There were no duds in Crazy Fish's lineup, and he had a strong running back on the bench of Tyler Algier at 12.3 points. His only injury was a player who did not play at all in this game. George Pickens is dealing with that hamstring injury, and he's going to probably miss this week. But who cares? Crazy Fish earned a first-round bye, so just like Mac Daddy 2s, he can let some of these injuries heal up without any worry about their fantasy score. Now for Nick's Waddle away. Like I said, came in at 6-7, finished at 6-8, scored 127 points. His top performers here was Jamar Chase. This guy is awesome. 38.1 points. He just jogs down the sideline and no one can catch him. I don't understand the physics, but it works. Oh, man, this guy has been playing great lately, even though I don't like him. Devontae Adams had 21.4 points.
He's heating up.
Matt Stafford, one of Bernie's favorite quarterbacks, had 20.8 points. Jason Sanders, kicker for the Dolphins, had 16 points. And not only did he have that big score, but they were big-time important kicks, end of halves and end of halves to take leads and then tie the game at the buzzer or near the buzzer of the fourth quarter, pardon me. And Jonnu Smith needed overtime to do it, but he got 11.9 points, and Jonnu Smith is on the train. All right, again, with such a high score, there were no duds in the starting lineup for Waddle away either. He did have one bench player who had a strong day at David Njoku at 13.7 points.
He's heating up.
And Waddle away made it through the week without any major injuries. All right, Mr. Bernie, what do you have on this game? This is a bonanza, a tough loss for Waddle away, big-time scoring.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Zach Charbonnet, Braylon Allen, Chuba Hubbard, I could see that. But, why are they outscoring all of my starting RB1s? I don't know. Good job, Crazy Fish, for, I guess, hanging on to everybody's backup on your bench. until the last game of the season. And then on the other side, he played almost the perfect tight end combination, except he should have put Njoku in instead of Laporta. I do like Laporta, but Tim Patrick is the new guy coming on, taking Laporta's touchdowns and Jameis touchdowns. So keep Laporta on your bench, start Njoku because he's going to get more yards from Jameis Winston. So.
All right, on to our last game of the regular season here, and it finished off with a Monday night action here. This game, oh my gosh, was thrilling and heartbreaking, depending on what side you come from here. We had Jimerson's RedSox Nation at 7-6, up against Ben's Brilliant Team, both at 7-6. They took our jobs winning his game and scoring the amount of points he did. That meant that this game here, the winner was in and the loser was out. No backing their way in for Jimerson's RedSox Nation. He needed to win. Going into the Monday night game, he was down by approximately 32 points to Ben's Brilliant Team, who had all the scoring done, and RedSox Nation had 2 Dallas Cowboys in his lineup. He had Rico Dowdle and C.D. Lamb. And it looked like the way that game started, he was going to blow that out of the water as both these guys got all the carries and or catches on the first 2 drives. I think they combined for about 20 points by the middle of the second quarter. Thought they were going to demolish this projection here. And then they slowed down. The game slowed down. The drive slowed down. And it came down to the last minute with Red Sox Nation down by about, 1 point, about 1 point or so. CeeDee Lamb caught a 15-yard pass with 1 minute left in the game after the long touchdown from Jamar Chase that allowed Dallas to get the ball back. If Cincinnati would have killed some clock there would have been no opportunity for CeeDee Lamb, but there was, and he made that last catch, the only catch of the drive for the Cowboys, and that was enough to have the comeback in the last minute of the last game of the week and the last game of the regular season to earn his playoff berth. A heartbreaking loss for Ben's Brilliant Team. Did I say the final of this score or not? Not even. The final score is 103.52 to 102.4. The differential was just over 1 point at 1.12 points. Heartbreaking. Let's see what players helped Red Sox Nation keep his playoff chances alive and have a chance to go for his fourth consecutive championship in the Wingman Fantasy Football. Oh, God. All right, he had Jalen Hurts at 24.22 points. CeeDee Lamb gutted through the shoulder injury to get 18.4 points. Rico Dowdle had 14.6 points.
He's heating up.
Quentin Johnson, I don't know when he picked him up. I tried to look it up. I couldn't find it. I don't know if he picked him up just for this week or not, but he put him in the starting lineup. He caught the touchdown, and this might have been one of the boldest plays of the week.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Would you ever put Stonehands in on your lineup on purpose? He did it, and he came through getting 13.3 points. And Chris Boswell might be one of the MVP kickers of the season. He had 11 points.
He's heating up.
He had no duds, did Red Sox Nation. Had a couple players on his bench that did about the same as his starters there. Baker Mayfield scored less than a point more than Jalen Hurts at 25, and Christian Watson matched Quentin Johnson at 13.4, and Red Sox Nation made it through the week without any major injuries. Now for Ben's Brilliant Team, who had one of his higher scoring games of the season for him. Unfortunately, again, came up just short, but he had a monster performance from Puka Nacua.
Hakuna Matata.
Puka Nacua had 35.8 points, and ever since he's come back from the injured reserve there, he has been awesome. He is chugging along. Puka Nacua is a stud. For the second straight week now, he's played the right quarterback. He put Brock Purdy in instead of Caleb Williams, and that was the right move at 22.1 points for Purdy. And George Kittle had 18.1 points. But this is where Ben lost this game and his playoffs. DeAndre Swift was a dud at only 4.5 points, and he had a goose. Tyler Lockett had 0.0 points. That means he could have played anybody else who was on his bench, and he would have won this week, including Tank Bigsby, who was his best bench player at 12.7 points. Ben's brilliant team made it through this week without any major injuries. He will earn a bye in the consolation bracket, but he will be out of the big boy bracket. This, I don't know. I don't root for anybody, but just like to have it and then lose at the last second is heartbreaking or thrilling for Red Sox Nation, depending on how you look at it. What do you have on this game?
No, you pretty much covered it. There's nothing more to add here. Tyler Lockett really let him down. Chicago assets really let him down with Swift and DJ Moore just not even breaking 10. So it's just a tough loss, man. But you came out of the basement and you fought valiantly.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, good job, Ben. It's always next year.
Yeah, Ben came into this with a 3-game winning streak. So he pretty much had to win out to make the playoffs, and he almost did. He almost won 4 in a row to get to the playoffs.
Oh, and Red Sox Nation, what are you going to do if you win this year? Are you going to change the A in Nation to a 4?
Oh, geez. You already have it worked out. All right, I don't want to see it. All right. I guess it's up to me now. I play him next week. Let's see what happens. All right. Now let's look at our updated standings, our final standings of the regular season. What do you have here, Bernie?
All right, Mike. The regular season is officially in the books, and we've got our playoff brackets ready. All right, I'll get more excited even though I'm not in it. Okay, let's break down these final standings and see who's dreaming of glory and who's fighting for pride. In the number 1 spot, Mac Daddy 2s at 9-5. Sure, you got first place, but let's be honest. You backed into it like a teenager parking their parents' car. 1,448 points doesn't make us forget that midseason collapse, bud. And number 2, Crazy Fish. Congratulations on the bye week. You'll need the rest after barely squeaking by some of the worst teams in the league. 1,399 points. My grandmother scores more in her bingo league, dude. All right. And number 3, Amazin Spidey at 9-5. Drawing Red Sox Nation in the first round. Be careful what you wish for. That 1,338 point total might not be enough when it matters, but... Number 4, Cubert's Rage, also at 9-5. Remember when you were in first place? Pepperidge Farm remembers. That 2-game losing streak headed into the playoffs is about as promising as a chocolate teapot. All right, in the number 5 spot, They Took Our Jobs at 8-6, leading the league in scoring, but 5th in the standings. What? You're like that person who always has the best fantasy football advice, but never makes the championship. And number 6, Red Sox Nation at 8-6. Barely made the playoffs and celebrating like you won the whole thing again. 1,429 points scored is cute, but the real season starts now. Okay, and now for our good teams there at the bottom over here. Ben's brilliant team. Late season push was impressive. You got the markings of a contender next year. Keep that energy, bud. Number 8, Team B at 6-8, 1,380 points would have made the playoffs in most leagues. Sometimes the schedule just isn't your friend. You'll be back stronger. Number 9, Waddle away at 6-8. That 3-game losing streak hurts, but 1,322 points shows that you can hang with anyone. Just need a little bit more consistency next season. 10, Lionized at 5-9, ending with a 2-game winning streak. That's kind of the momentum that carries into next year. Keep building. And number 11, King George at 5-9. The kingdom may have fallen, but 1,316 points tells me there's a resurrection coming next season. And the Fantastics at 12. 3-11, look at it this way. Nowhere to go but up. And with 1,255 points, you're not as far off as your record suggests. All right, Mike, the regular season is in the books, and we've got our playoff brackets ready. So let me just quickly break down these final standings and preview the upcoming ones here. Is that okay?
Yeah, whatever you need to do. Yep.
All right. MacDaddy 2 and Crazy Fish are sitting pretty with first-round buys, probably practicing their touchdown dances while everyone else battles it out. Must be nice. We've got Cubert's Rage versus They Took Our Jobs in what might be the spiciest first-round matchup ever. The former number 1 seed against the highest-scoring team in the league. Get your popcorn ready, folks. And on the other side, Amazin Spidey faces Red Sox Nation in what feels like a true coin flip. Both teams limping into the playoffs like they just ran a marathon in flip-flops. And the consolation bracket, We've got some pride on the line. Ben's brilliant team and Team B lucked out with first-round buys. At least they won something this season. Lionizing King George in our Battle of the Basement special. Somebody's got to win, right? And Waddle Away faces Fantastics in what we're calling the There's Always Next Year Bowl. Looking at these matchups, Mike, you got any predictions? And besides yourself taking it all?
I'm not making any predictions. The only thing I want to mention here is we have our top 3 scorers in terms of points are all on one side of the bracket. The 1, 4, and 6 seeds are our 3 highest scoring teams. And the other side of the bracket, we have Crazy Fish, Amazin Spidey, and They Took Our Jobs. These 3 teams all have 4 championships in their history in the league. So one of these teams is going to guarantee to get to the championship game, not necessarily win the championship, as they're going to knock each other out. But one of these teams is going to be going for their 5th championship of their career here. So that's just interesting to note. I also want to mention a couple other things here. We had Lion Eye start off 0-6, finished 5-9, means he went 5-3 in those last 8 games. Amazin Spidey started off 0-3, finished at 9-5, means he went 9-2 over the last 11 games. So just shows you you can come back from a bad start, but 6 losses is a little too much. If you can get that at 4 or less, there's still a lot of room to come back.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
All right, guys, it is now time. Oh my gosh, you guys are I can't believe we're getting more gooses. Bring out the shotguns, guys. It's time to go hunting. It's time to check out the updated Goose-O-Meter.
I'm just goosing along.
Up, the meter goes. What are we up to now? Well, the meter's on fire, and now we're up to 20. Oh, my God. 26 gooses as we added 4 gooses this week. Corey with the Arizona defense. Alex with Jaden Reed. Ben with Tyler Lockett. And Ken with Lad McConkey. We are now up to 26 gooses. That is double last year's goose rate, and that included the playoffs. What are we doing here, guys? What is happening? Is it just coincidence, or are we failing as a society here that we have so many gooses? We can make a whole new pillow set with all the feathers we can take from these gooses, man. Do you have any comments on the number of gooses here?
No, it probably has something to do with the way the NFL rules are structured this year, though. You know, it's a bunch of rule changes and everything's easy and lots of easy penalties and probably a lot of passing interference calls instead of actual catches for these wide receivers, so they don't get the yards. But I don't know.
You're probably right with those illegal shifts they call after people scored. I bet a couple times there's been scores that have been taken off the board for goose players.
Probably. Or managers just listening to shady advice.
Who's giving them bad fantasy advice? It can't be the guys who have a 30-45 starts of the week record.
What? My Wingman Jam was jamming this week.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, it is now time for a Mike Rant.
Baby Rant. Karen Rant.
I don't care whose fault it is. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think.
Mike Rant.
All right, that sound a little funky, so I apologize for that. All right, guys. Well, in terms of fantasy football, made the playoffs, got a payout. Everything else would just be greedy. So we're going to stay away from fantasy football this week, I guess, and we're going to talk about online shopping. All right, guys, as you may or may not know, I am a UPS driver by trade, and I want to tell you the worst things you can buy if you care about your UPS driver. Stop buying your kid trampolines on the internet. I swear to God, they come in 4 boxes, 120 pounds each, huge, and I see people set them up in their yard and they all rip or fail within a year. It's like your kids don't use them. They break and they break my back. Stop buying trampolines, rowing machines, new desks for Christmas. We already have enough stuff in the car. We don't need 300-pound boxes on there as well. Give your UPS driver a break. I don't need a tip. Just don't buy the heaviest stuff. Go to the store and get it yourself. Load up a pickup truck, for crying out loud. It's the season to save your UPS drivers back. Please, no more online trampolines. All right, Bernie, have you ever bought a trampoline and had it delivered to your house, or a playground set, or anything that's ridiculously big? I want to know because I'm coming for you.
No, I don't do big purchases online to be delivered from like Amazon or anything like that. Usually, if it's a delivery, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to see the product, make sure it's the one I want, and then I'm going to have the store deliver it if I can't take it myself. And that's a rarity. Normally, I'll just have a truck and I'll get it myself.
Well, I appreciate that. All right.
Yeah, no
All
problem.
right, guys. That's just a tip for you guys out there. Just know that you might be getting something, but there's someone else on the other end, and they're usually by themselves. And when they're really big, they don't fit on hand carts. I'm sure there's a lot of videos of me struggling, dragging stuff along people's up their stairs or across their yard.
Why don't we just go right into Mike Rant part 2? What about your helper during the holiday season?
Oh, so actually, I've had a girl now for the last 5 days. She's been pretty good, but for a while there, it was pretty touch and go.
Okay, good.
All right. Let's get into some waiver wire targets, as we have a lot of managers are going to be trying to improve their teams or blocking their opponents in these playoffs. So what do you have for some waiver wire targets?
All right, so let's start with our top options for QB. Aaron Rodgers finally cracked 300 passing yards, and with both Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams playing well, there might be something cooking there. The Jets keeping the running game involved is a good sign for the offensive balance. But Mike, those outdoor games in Jersey and Buffalo in week 16 and 17, let's just say Mother Nature might have other plans. Quick hits here for the desperate. Desmond Ridder, O'Connell might be out, and Ridder has legs, plus Michael Mayer is giving him a reliable target, but folks, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. And Jake Haener. Derek Carr might have a fracture, like we talked about. Haener could get the nod over struggling Rattler, but I feel dirty even mentioning these options.
Would you consider Will Levis again? They're playing the Bengals this week.
All right, let's move it on to the running backs.
Okay, all right.
No, you got anything to add for quarterbacks there?
No, that's good.
Okay, yeah. All right, running back top options. Sincere McCormick. Drop whatever you're doing and grab this guy. Over 60% snap share, 2 goal line carries, and a cupcake playoff schedule with Atlanta, Jacksonville, and New Orleans. So this is what we call potential league winner here. Number 2, Isaiah Davis. He's getting the same workload as Braylon Allen and scoring in back-to-back weeks. So with Breece Hall potentially out until next season, Davis could be your flex hero against Jacksonville. And Israel Abakanda, yeah, I'm going to say it like that. He's the failed Jets experiment turned 49ers lottery ticket. Well, with Garendo nursing a sprained foot, the natural zone runner could shine in Shanahan's system. Quick hits, Sean Tucker might be the number 2 against the Chargers if White sits. And Keyshawn Vaughn is lurking in San Francisco if you just have an extra bench spot to keep him close by.
So in terms of the San Francisco running backs, we're not sure if Garendo is going to miss, and we're not sure how much time he's going to miss if he misses at all. I think he's going to miss this week just because of the quick turnaround, but even that's not a guarantee. But my point is here is Patrick Taylor is essentially their 5th string running back. He's a special teamer. He has no elite skill set. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying, like Garendo had elite speed. You had Jordan Mason, who was a truck who could run through tackles, and McCaffrey could do it all kind of thing. Taylor does not have any of those elite skill sets, but Israel Anaconda don't want none. He has elite speed, and we know Shanahan. If he's going to err on the side of I'm not sure who to play, he's going to find someone who has an elite skill set and then work the system around that skill set. So, like you said, he has some zone experience, and a 1 foot cut type of player can run a long play there. So don't be surprised if they kind of go off the beaten path here and have one of these new players they picked up jump in line. I don't know. I'm just guessing, speculating here. I'm just saying don't be surprised. So I think all these guys are worth picking up to some degree, and just wait to how it shakes out, and maybe you'll get lucky if you got the right one.
Exactly. All right. So wide receiver, tight end options here. We have Hunter Henry at the top of this list here. So the Patriots are going pass heavy. And look at the schedule: Arizona, Buffalo, and the Chargers. That's the kind of late season slate makes fantasy managers drool. So high floor for that potential there. Joshua Palmer, best yardage and catch totals of the season while McConkey is out. almost had a 25-plus point explosion if Herbert had thrown it a little bit better. So worth a flex look against Tampa, whether McConkey returns or not. Zach Ertz, Jaden Daniels keeps finding him in the end zone, and he gets a Saints defense that just let Bellinger feast with Drew Lock. So that's something simple there. And then secondary options here, Tim Patrick, 2 scores, 4 other catches, and looking like it could be a shootout with Buffalo. Jalen McMillan matching Mike Evans' playing time. That's kind of the usage that we need to chase, especially if Bucky Irving sits. And Juwan Johnson looked great, but losing Carr hurts, so still worth a stash if you got room on your bench. And then a couple quick hits here. Michael Mayer, 81% snap share, leading the team in catches with Ritter incoming. And that's a desperation play in if you need real help for the playoff upside.
I think I think Juwan Johnson ended up getting hurt late in that game. I'm just
okay.
Just to like kind of I said last week one time like get Goddard song that had a touchdown and didn't realize he got hurt late in that game. So kind of like we kind of see the stats like, oh, there's someone who can play, but I think he's hurt and going to miss some time.
Okay, good to note.
All right, as for some defenses here, it's hard to say. This time is about with less fantasy teams playing, it's time to get some defenses so you can stream your defenses from your roster for the last 2 to 3 weeks here. And this is going to change. You're pretty much targeting offenses here for the most part. I don't want to say who's available or not. For example, I picked up Baltimore 2 weeks ago planning for this upcoming week because they're playing the Giants. So they might be available or they might not. Atlanta is another team here that they have a decent schedule. They're playing the Giants next week. So that's a good defense. And I believe they're taken in our league, but I could see them being dropped. I could see them being dropped overnight today. So keep an eye on that. And the Colts play the Giants in the week 17. Also, we got backup quarterbacks starting to get playing time for the Saints, the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, and the Raiders. So just keep a look at the schedules and see which teams might be playing them. And these teams might be getting dropped too because they might some fantasy managers might not be looking that far ahead and dropping teams that will be valuable next week or the following week. Get ahead of it. Get your second defense on your roster and stream from who you have instead of having to pick up week to week.
Good advice. Good advice.
All right, guys, let's review our last week's starts of the week, and we're going to do this as quick as we can. As coming into last week, we were 31-41 as a show. I was 18-18. Bernie came in at 13-23. And Bernie, why don't you read off your 3 starts of the week for last week?
All right, point totals as well.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. Will Levis projected at 15.1, actual 7 points. Yay. Isaac Arendo, 13.4 projected, and before he got hurt, 25.8. So great job. That's what we expected. And then Brandon Cooks, 1 catch for 3 yards and a touchdown, projected at 6.8, got a 6.8. I wouldn't call that a start win, though.
All right. Coming now with my players here. Once again, struggling. I went with Cooper Rush at quarterback, projected for 14.6. Barely outperformed, but we'll take it at 15.8. There were worse options out there. Not really. He wasn't that very good there. Alvin Kamara, I didn't realize his projection was so high at 19.4. But at the same time, I thought he would get better than that. But Kendra Miller surprised at the amount of action he got on the field. So Kamara only got 10.4. That was a miss in that one. And Brock Bowers, after his big game the week prior, only got 6.7 points scored against his 12.9 projection. So for week 14, I was 1-2. Bernie was 1-2. Our new total is 33 and 45. And I'm not now 19-20, and Bernie has fallen to 14-25. So don't worry about it. We're doing the best we can. These are streaming looks, and we're not the only ones picking these guys. Actually, I listen to a lot of other shows, and I don't use them to make my picks, but I use them afterwards to kind of verify. And the pros are failing just as much as we are. Just remember that. So we're just as good as the worst. All right, guys. All right. If
anything, we're consistent. So
yes.
You know, you're getting consistency.
We were doing better earlier. I think we're going for more matchup plays with bad players and realize these guys are just bad players.
Exactly.
All right, guys. It is now time. Unfortunately, we've got 2 more puppies in the kennel. It is time for some sad puppies.
Wingman Fantasy Football Sad, sad puppies.
All right, Bernie's Team B. Started off so promising, getting a lot of high scores, but not getting the wins. And just added up. I think you were 5th, 6th, 7th at worst in total points, but 7th in record. Not fair. Not fair.
Yeah.
Matchups hurt. You had a strong start to the season, like I said. Those running backs let you down, and all of them I agreed with the good picks. I liked your draft. The running backs your running backs let you down. Then your receivers started letting you down. You went to the waiver wire, made some good pickups. Unfortunately, they were your best players. There's always next year, and you did earn a bye in the consolation bracket. Maybe you can get a back-to-back 7th place finish. All right, one more player in the kennel this week is Ben's brilliant team. Oh my, oh my, oh my. One catch with 1 minute to go on Monday night sealed your fate to put you in that consolation bracket. You won games in the most improbable ways, being the second lowest scoring team multiple weeks up against the lowest scoring team. I don't know how you did it with your voodoo magic, but it worked. You went into the last game on a 3-game winning streak, almost made the playoffs, but in the end, fell just short. Heck, you even beat teams with 7 players in your lineup. That's pretty hard to do. Impressive. Ben, way to good season for you. You tried your best. There's always next year. Now it's time to play for 7th. All right, guys. With that being said, I want to thank you all so very much. All right, guys. Like I said, with that being said, I want to thank you all so very much for watching another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League podcast. I want to wish you all the very best luck in your big boy brackets, your consolation brackets. Hey, you're still playing for something, and we want you to have your best possible outcomes going forward. With that being said, guys, you can find our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music. Just search Wingman the League on those platforms, and we'll come right to the top of your search. If you're not sure if you want to watch or listen, you can go and find all of our feeds on wingmanentertainment.net/podcast. And if you know you want to watch us, please go to our YouTube channel at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. When you head over there, guys, go ahead and leave a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment, and we'll get you in on our next mailbag segment. All right, guys, with that being said, I want to wish, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And as the universe expands, so too does the list of players who will inexplicably have their best games of the season against you.
All right, guys. Have a great night, guys.